Hi, this is Jack with KSOC. In this 3-minute demo, we're going to see cloud-native risk populating in real time in Kubernetes clusters. First, we'll get rid of Kubernetes shadow IT with cluster visibility. Next, we'll get our top risk in real time. We can see here we have multiple EKS clusters in our AWS account, including one where KSOC is not installed. So any new EKS clusters in any region will surface here. We'll start with the new prod staging cluster where I just installed KSOC a few minutes ago. There is a separate video that goes over the ease of installation. We're not going to cover that here. First, let's go over to Explorer to see an always up-to-date hierarchical view of the cluster. There is no scanning of the cluster involved. We receive cluster updates in real time via Shared Informer. Any changes to workloads in your cluster will be updated here within a few seconds. Create a new namespace and add new microservices. You'll see that reflected here in a few seconds. We see here the boutique namespace with an e-commerce microservices application. There are many misconfigurations of various levels in each workload. All the workload images have at least 1 or 2 CVEs. All the workloads have surface account with various permissions in the cluster. All that is gathered by KSOC, but by themselves are considered noise. So if we jump into here, we can see there are a lot of findings on different workloads. We can see there's a lot of image vulnerabilities. So now let's show the instant evaluation of the newly onboard cluster by looking at the surfaced threat vectors. And we can look at it here, or I'll just look at it in this view here. Threat vectors are a cross-section of potentially exploitable workloads. The input to threat vectors include workload misconfigurations, RBAC permissions, image vulnerabilities, and public exposure. All of the inputs to threat vectors are collected in real time, which allows KSOC to uncover new threat vectors a few minutes after they're introduced into the cluster. It also allows us to mark threat vectors as remediated, also a few minutes after any of the underlying threat factors have been addressed. So right now, let's focus on unrestricted access is exposed via role. We can see the role for the workload surface account has wildcard access to pods, which I'll show here. You get the finding here and the resources. So yes, wildcard access to pods. We can also see that the workload is publicly accessible via its ingress. I can also see all the deployments running pods, misconfigurations. There are a lot outside of the threat vector definition, and any runtime events. This is a newly onboarded cluster, so there aren't any runtime events yet. I can also see that the same workload has 2 other threat vectors, critical vulnerabilities exposed and root container exposure. Let's just look at the critical vulnerabilities exposed. I can click into this and see not just the misconfiguration, but all the image scan results. So all the vulnerabilities, and not just the one that triggered the threat vector. I can see all of them here. And we allow you to jump over to the CVE here. The point is to put all the forensic information for you to validate the threat vector on one screen so you can click through and validate everything. Apart from what you see here, you can also try out KSOC's open source KBOM project. You can download this, and in a few seconds, it'll run, and you'll be able to populate your asset inventory with Kubernetes configurations. As you can see here, one of the outputs. Here you can see part of the KBOM that includes details for nodes, images, and resources in your cluster. Thank you. Get in touch with the KSOC team to discover your own cloud-native attack surface in real time.